Step 1, then you do something with AI tool and you get it right. Step 2, you tell that AI to package that as a skill. And step 3, we can then use that skill over and over. Hi there, Kelsey Toner here, the founder of Guest Focused Tour Business Coaching, where every day myself and our team of extraordinary tour and activity business mentors are helping you build a thriving, profitable business. Welcome back to our series on putting AI to work in your tour or experience business. If this is your first video, welcome. We'd recommend starting at the beginning of this series and going through because each video is compounding on the other, and I don't want you to miss out on anything. So far in this series, you've used the AI Brain Builder prompt. We've connected that brain into a nervous system of connectors, and we've added memory. Now it's time to teach it how to actually work. That's right, it's time to talk about skills and plugins. Think of skills as a way to teach your AI a process once and never have to explain it again. Here's the concept. A skill is like an SOP, or a standard operating procedure for your AI brain. That's it. You're already familiar with the concept of an SOP if you run group tours, if you have a pre-tour checklist, if you manage your guides, you have a guide training list, if you have a booking process, you've probably written down all of these things somewhere. Those are examples of SOPs. A skill is the same thing, but specifically for your AI brain. And here's what you should understand. A skill is just a text file in that brain. That's right. Skills are simply another subfolder that we're going to build into our AI brain or inside of the AI tool that we're using. And again, it's just a markdown file, just like the ones that we've been building throughout this series. It's a set of instructions that tells your AI exactly how to handle a specific task. It can include things like your brand voice rules, a step-by-step process, your formatting preferences, real-world examples, and even links out to other images or places where it can go to get the context it needs. This is all written out in plain text, at least to start. And this matters for a couple reasons. First, because it's a text file, you can open it, you can read it, you can easily edit and see what the skill is doing. There's nothing hidden there at all, so to speak. Second, because it's portable. So if you build a skill for Claude, you can take that same file and use it inside of ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Manus, whatever tool comes along next. It's your process written down and it goes wherever you want it to go. But big picture, you don't have to have all this figured out right away. Step 1, then you do something with AI tool and you get it right. Step 2, you tell that AI to package that as a skill. And step 3, we can then use that skill over and over. And because it's a text file and because we're using an AI brain, that means that we can give it corrections. That means we can improve that skill. That means when we tell it, hey, actually, I didn't love this particular output, or hey, I don't love that this is happening. How could we fix that? Your AI intelligence is going to be able to update that SOP, update that particular skill. The nice thing about this skills framework is that they compound, right? If we can automate or task an agent to handle this particular skill, especially if it's repetitive, especially if it happens on a schedule or it's something that just needs to happen quite a bit in your business, well, even if we added one a week, that compounds month after month after month. And by the next quarter, you could have some 30 or 40, 50 even different processes running consistently without you having to re-explain everything, constantly improving each one of those so that you're getting better and better output over time. Now, you don't need to use skills. And many of you may have been using projects for something similar, right? You kind of go to that project and you've set up some instructions, you've given some context, and you go back to that project. Some of you may have been trying to do that inside of a chat. Hey, I always go back to that same chat anytime I want to do that task. And so what I want you to think about with skills is, yes, this takes a little bit of extra effort to set it up as a markdown file that can live in a skill folder inside of your AI brain. But the real key unlock here is you're going to have that ability to constantly improve and update that SOP or update that skill. That's where this real breakthrough comes through. But let's go through a couple examples to make it a little bit more concrete. So one skill that probably almost every tour activity business owner, someone on your team, is doing review responses, right? Reviews come in, maybe you have a project somewhere where you're doing this, but we want to build a skill that takes this review, drafts a response in your voice. It has a lot of guidelines and best practices. It might have your cancellation policy, the tone you use, how you handle negative reviews versus positive ones. This is a great skill. But without a skill, you're kind of probably re-explaining your voice every time, or it's making a best guess. With a skill, you can paste in a review and get a draft response ready to go. And inside of your AI brain, you're telling it to use that particular skill. So most operators spend 10, 15 minutes each on each response, but skills can cut that down, or more importantly, an AI agent could potentially even give you a whole bunch of draft responses and you could approve them in bulk. And if you have the right connector, it could go and maybe do that responding for you. Do you see here how we're eventually pulling that human out of the loop? Inside of this skill, we want to make sure that our AI agents or anyone that's working on our behalf has the right SOP or the right skills to effectively repeat that task over and over again. As you can imagine, there are tons of repetitive tasks in any given tour business that we can set up as skills. But let's talk about something for you as a business owner. What about setting up a weekly report? Maybe you've asked your AI to go through your booking system and your calendar, and this skill can pull your bookings, your revenue, your tour compilations, maybe even your profit, and put it into a one-page weekly report, or even a visual dashboard where you can see that data. And this can happen every single week. So it's the first thing you see on Monday. The columns you want, the format you like, the metrics that you actually care about. And you don't have to go and do that information. You want an agent to go and do that for you. Well, that is a great use case for a skill. Without that markdown file or that particular skill, you've got to obviously manually pull those numbers from 3 different places or recreate those instructions over and over again. With a skill, it can happen automatically or scheduled, or you can trigger that skill anytime you need it. If people on your team are doing marketing, well, content repurposing is a great skill. Let's say you film a video on Wednesday. Your skill turns that into a blog post or 3 Instagram posts and an email to your list and a section for a newsletter, formatted differently for each platform, and it takes minutes instead of hours. Now, that's a pretty complex process, but we can break that skill down step by step. We can give it best practices. We can point it to whatever resources it needs. Okay, let's have a look at how this works inside of Claude Cowork, which again is our recommended way to do this for creating markdown files that live right there on your desktop. And because Claude Cowork can manipulate those files, it can also update those markdown files, meaning it can update your skills over time. So I'm going to be using Cowork, not chat here at the top, not Claude Code, which we're not covering in this particular series, but here under Cowork, let's have a look at where those skills live. If I go into this plus icon, you can see our connectors, and here is our skills. Let's go over to Manage Skills. So first and foremost, Claude Cowork is going to do this for you automatically. You can go over here to the plus icon, and you can see we've got a couple options. We can create a skill from scratch with Claude. We can write skill instructions. We can upload a skill. Now, if you go down here to examples, one of the great skills that comes included with Cowork, or Anthropic built it for you, is the skill creator. And by selecting it, you can toggle this on. And so at any point, it can use this skill creator to create future skills for you. And down here on the right, we can even see exactly what this SOP for skill creation looks like. At a high level, the process of creating a skill goes like this. Decide what you want the skill to do and roughly how it should do it. Write a draft of the skill, create a few test prompts, and run Claude with access to the skill. Help the user evaluate the results both qualitatively and quantitatively, right? So it's got a whole process of not only creating it, but then testing out that skill. If I select Create with Claude, you'll see it's actually just using this exact prompt. So pretty rarely do I actually go in and select, hey, I'm going to add a skill. I'll just say, hey, let's create a skill together using your skill creator skill. First, ask me what the skill should do. And the key here is, you'll notice for me in Guest Focus, this Claude Cowork synced folder is my AI brain. We're always going to be using that same root folder. And then when we click Let's Go, what I love about this is in the Cowork browser on the right side here, you can see the progress it's making, and it breaks things out into tasks. But down here, under context, you can see what skills it's ultimately leaning into. And you can see here, hey, it read my instructions first. No matter what happens, it's always starting with my brain instructions, because that's telling it, hey, by the way, we've got this whole AI brain. Here's where everything is should you need it. You'll see this prompt here. What should this skill enable Claude to do? What's the core task or workflow you want to turn into a repeatable skill? So I can choose from here, or of course, type into the bottom. So we won't go through the whole process, but as you can see, the AI helps you build out these skills. And this is going to be a big leap up instead of using threads or the same project to go and accomplish those tasks. Now, what I will highlight is that because it's just a markdown file, it's very easy to open it, read every line. You can use a tool like Obsidian, like I was saying, to very quickly have a look through your brain, your AI brain folder, and look at those skills. And you can actually see what's in there. And if you do see something that you're concerned about or that isn't correct, you can do those types of manual updates as well. But honestly, most of the time, I'm doing those updates in additions to a skill's memory or changes to its instructions are all just done through the interface of Claude Cowork. So the first time you build a skill, it takes maybe 15, 20 minutes, half hour to iterate and get it right. But every time after that, it's instant. And you get better output because your AI follows that exact same process that you refine. So Cowork has that built-in create new skill feature that's going to walk you through the process. But you can almost certainly use other AI tools to create skills and then ask for it in a markdown format. Here's where this gets interesting. Because they're just text files, we don't have to build out all the skills ourselves. There are skill libraries out there on the web, people who are building just like us. There are databases of skills that other people have built and shared. Some examples are sites like Skill Hub, the Agent Skills Marketplace, and Smithery all have collections of skills that you can browse. Some are free, some are paid, and they cover everything from writing and research to data analysis and customer service. And because every skill that you get from these marketplaces is just a markdown file, just a text file, means you can read exactly what it does before you install it. We'd strongly recommend doing that, by the way. Open the file, have a read through if you're getting a skill or instruction from the web, much in the same way that you wouldn't want to hire somebody without reading their resume. Same idea here. These are just text files, and if there are no surprises, it's only going to take a couple minutes to skim through, and it's been really impressive. As an example, you might be able to go and find a local SEO optimization skill, and that's going to, via your connectors, maybe do some competitor analysis, maybe go and investigate how you're showing up in the Google Maps 3-pack, or where you're showing up based on your reviews. Maybe it's going to measure how often your competitors are posting to their Google My Business account and have a step-by-step process to having you show up more, having you show up higher. Our imagination is really the limit with these skills, and it's pretty amazing that these marketplaces are springing up to help all of us be more effective in our businesses. One more concept to introduce. Skills are single-purpose instructions, often for tasks or projects that are repetitive, right? So one skill might teach your AI how to generate that weekly report for you. Another one might be, hey, here's how we format our Instagram posts. Another one handles review responses. Each one does one job. But sometimes we might want several skills working together. And that's where a plugin comes in. Now, plugin is the terminology used by Claude Cowork, and a plugin simply bundles multiple skills together with the connectors and commands needed to run a complete workflow. Think of it this way. Skills are individual capabilities that you can create for your AI brain. A plugin is the job description that bundles those skills together. If you hired a marketing coordinator, the job description would include likely the skills of, hey, writing social posts, scheduling content, responding to comments, pulling analytics. Each of those distinct things are a skill, and the marketing coordinator role is kind of like that plugin. So you don't need plugins to get started, but I just wanted to highlight them if you are using Claude Cowork, because we can get plugins from these online databases as well. And as you can see, plugins are kind of that next step to move towards creating AI employees that have different specialties. So an AI agent that's going to focus on your financials and bookkeeping and helping you with cash flow and projections. We might have another plugin or an AI agent that specializes in marketing or is taking the lead in coordinating your marketing efforts. This is how to think about skills rolling up into a larger role. But we don't need to go all the way to AI employees yet. It's probably a good idea just to pick a handful of skills. Start on those things that happen over and over again and build them as skills instead of just living inside of chats or projects as you may have been doing in the past. Okay, so in terms of taking action, this is going to be pretty straightforward, especially if you're using Claude Cowork. Go through a particular process with your AI and try and get it right or get the output. Then right in that chat, ask the AI to create a skill for the next time you want to accomplish that task. For extra points, I would encourage you to go and install that skill creator inside of Claude Cowork, because that's just going to help you with the process. I also love that it encourages you to do some testing of the skill as well. So it builds that right into the skill building process. Now, if you're interested in coordinating with other tour operators, tour business owners who are using AI brains, AI nervous system, and AI skills and plugins, we highly recommend you join us over at the Tour Business AI Lab. That's at guestfocus.com/AI. In there, we're sharing all kinds of best practices, things like this video series where we're figuring it out together, and we can easily imagine building out a skill library where we can be sharing some of these tools between our various AI brains. We'd love to see you over there. Now, down below, if you have created a skill before, I'd love to hear about it. The process was like, how you use it week to week or month to month. If you've never created a skill before, I'd love to hear what are some of those repetitive tasks. Let's inspire each other. What are some of those things that we want to turn into skills that we can not only improve the output that we're getting, but remember, this is about agents and the AI being able to do these tasks on a schedule, do them independently, or do them whenever we ask. Maybe when we're going for a walk, maybe when we are sleeping. Thank you so much for being here. We hope you're enjoying this series, and kudos to you for being brave and stepping into the unknown with the rest of us here. Thank you so much. If you can share this with a friend or colleague, it certainly means a lot to us. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video.